Good morning. Today we're talking about the myth about challenging students and classes. If you are new around here, my name is Andrea Oram. I am a music teacher. I teach homeschoolers from pre-K to 12th grade, and I teach adults too. So I really teach the entire age range and spectrum about how to sing, how to play the piano, how to play the ukulele, lots of fun things. And I mentor music teachers who are, especially people who are new at this or who are in a new position and trying to feel it out and figure out what to do. So, with that, I want to talk about a myth. I guess this week is myth busting week because yesterday I did a myth busting about chronic jaw pain and TMJ issues. So if you're interested in checking that out, you can watch that over in the Music Lover to Music Teacher group. So if that is interest to you, go for it. I talk about that weekly over there, but I guess now I'm off on tangent already. What in the world? So anyway, myths to this week, I suppose. Today's myth is about challenging students or challenging classes. And if you have been a music teacher for even just a week, you will know that having that one challenging student or that one really challenging class can sometimes feel, now I'm going to say feel because it's not reality, in the sense that it isn't I'm not going to say it is, I'm going to say it feels. Does that make sense? Because it's a perception. That really challenging student or really challenging class can feel like they dictate our emotional energy for the day. I'll say that again. The myth that I'm going to bust today or reframe is that challenging student or challenging class can dictate, it feels like they can dictate our emotions or our perception of the day. And this was a challenge for me 1000% when I was a new music teacher. I would focus on the fact that I wasn't meeting the needs of this student or this class well. I was focusing so hard on the fact that I wasn't succeeding with this particular student or this particular challenging class. And it started to eat away at me and make me second guess my capabilities as a teacher and make me feel like I wasn't doing a good job. It kind of fed that imposter syndrome that so many of us can feel, especially as new teachers or even as seasoned teachers. It can help make us question our reality as professionals, as educators. And I want to challenge or bust that myth because it's not true. Someone else's choices, whether it's a challenging student or a challenging class as a whole, their choices should not dictate how we view ourselves. They should not dictate how we view our identity as an educator or as a teacher. Are we responsible for meeting them where they are at and working with them and seeing them as real human beings and motivating them and spurring them on, holding them to high expectations? Yes. Is that full responsibility of their choices and their decision making on us, though? No. They have responsibilities. They are human beings also. They are responsible for their own actions and for their own choice to respond to us. And it's high time that teachers set an emotional boundary for themselves regarding challenging students and challenging classes, because I see so many teachers, especially music teachers, because we don't see the students for as long or like as much time during the week or during the day as other teachers do, especially in the elementary setting. That's not necessarily true in the high school setting as much, but in the elementary and middle school setting, sometimes we see them less than other teachers see them. And so it's more we need to get more creative about how we build relationships and build rapport with students. So I digress a little bit. And especially if you're new, then you don't have the longevity of years being with a student to build that relationship yet. And it takes time. But it's high time that we set a boundary for ourselves on our own emotional response to our own work. Does that mean we don't evaluate our own work and evaluate the way we taught? No. We can still evaluate our own selves. We can still evaluate the efficacy of our teaching and evaluate our abilities to do what we did and like the way we taught that day. We can still evaluate those things. But I think the emphasis on that evaluation can sometimes be detrimental to our ability to also separate from that, to step back and say that doesn't, just because I can evaluate how well I did that day doesn't equate itself to how effective or accomplished or well I do as a teacher as a whole. Does that make sense? I hope so. I see some people watching live. I'm glad you're watching live. If you have something to share in the comments, I would love to hear that. What do you think about that? Have you ever been tempted to evaluate your abilities as a teacher on just one challenging class or one challenging student? It was a temptation for me as a new teacher because I knew that I wanted to be able to reach all students and wanted to teach effectively all classes, all students. And sometimes based on where they're at with their learning, based on where they're at emotionally, based on where they're at with their experiences, prior experiences to music in general, that can come out in lots of different ways, right? And we as human beings shouldn't be responsible for their response because they're also responsible for their response. I'm responsible for my response. They're responsible for theirs. I'm also responsible for how I teach, but I need to set an emotional boundary there. And if that is helpful for you to differentiate those things, please do that, because it was so helpful for me as a new teacher. And it really helped me have clarity around the things that I was responsible and capable of and the things that were outside of my control, because there are a lot of factors, and that's okay. And we're not supposed to save anybody or save our students or save we're not responsible for those things. So let me know in the comments if this was useful. If you like this conversation, you're like, man, I could dig this. There's a whole back library of other videos I've done about different topics like this in the Music Lover to Music Teacher group. And you can go check those out. They're there anytime. So if you have time today, cool. If you don't have time for a few weeks, that's also cool. You can check them out later. But pop in there. There's a link in the description of this video. If you're already there, go check out some more of the guide section and figure out what topics that are listed there would be most useful for you right now. So have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you tomorrow morning. Bye for now.